Right, today I'm in my practice location because I've brought my partner along today and we're going to practice with our two-man tent, staying out in really cold conditions. Well, quite cold, not really cold, maybe about -2, -4, something like that, which is cold enough. But because I live in London, I need to have a location where I can go to and practice camp, make sure and get used to my routines of, using a dry bags, dry kit, wet kit, all those kind of things, and go out in bad conditions as well, because most of the time we get to go out in good conditions, but sometimes there's bad conditions. And if you plan to do some wild camping with your landscape photography as well, then it's best that you get used to being in some bad conditions too. I want to be able to go to places like Lake District or Scotland or Wales, and I need to be able to stay out for 4 or 5 days at a time. Because if I'm going that far, I can't just go for like 1 or 2 shots and come back again. I have to be able to go for more than that. In order for me to do that, I have to wild camp. So I can be out on the hills, stay out there and get all the shots and stuff that I need, and then come back to London again afterwards. One of the difficulties with that is that it means that there's longer gaps in between when you go away and do things. So what I've done now is I've found a place which is kind of near London. It's less than an hour away. So I can come to this place and practice. Now, normally when I'm coming to this location, I'm going to go when there's bad weather. So I can practice all the things that come with that. Sleeping in a tent when it's really windy, dealing with snow, dealing with heavy rain, getting used to that sort of dry kit, wet kit routine and changing, protecting my gear, all that kind of stuff, but in a location where I can get back to the car if things go wrong. If I make a really bad mistake, I can recover from that quite easily and get that kind of practice in. It also helps when there's a long gap between trips to come and do 1 or 2 trips like this, so you feel like you know what you're doing, you feel you've got that kind of that familiarity with it all the time. If I lived closer, I wouldn't need to do that. But for me, it's a 5-hour drive, maybe sometimes 6 hours drive to get to do any landscape. So I have to go for extended periods of time. There's no way I can just go for a day and then come back again. It's a waste of money and it's a waste of time for me. What I thought I'd do is I'd vlog some of this stuff so you get to see what I'm doing and why. And so I can kind of take you along on these trips as well. It might be useful for some of you and you might just find it interesting anyway. The location I've picked isn't particularly high. It's only a couple of 100 meters, which is almost nothing. It has an exposed summit area. It's the highest point in this area and it is subject to some pretty heavy winds. The enemy when you're camping is wind, rain, snow, cold. So in this location, I can experience all of those things with relative safety. I can walk back to the car in about 45 minutes and go home if I need to. To me, this is just a smart way of doing things, but it's also enjoyable. So when I come here, I'm only coming for 1 night at a time because I can manage something like that. It's easy to just fit in and I can go home and carry on with my day the next day. So we've walked up here today. I've come with Casey, my partner, as well, because she's going to come along with me on some of my landscape photography trips as well. So I've brought our two-man tent along, which we haven't used together before. So we're going to try that out today, see how we got on with it. And it's going to be her introduction into wild camping, which I've done a lot of in the past and I've done some more of recently as well, but for her it's quite new, so she's going to get used to the routines of doing it. It's not always the most comfortable experience, especially when you do multi-day trips. It starts to get more demanding, it's quite hard and you have to get used to that. You have to get used to the difficulties. You have to be quite disciplined and have a good routine down for what you want to do, and it's better to be familiar with that kind of thing in a nice safe location rather than anywhere else. It's getting cold already, and there's a few people still about at the moment. I'm just waiting for them to go, and there's not many people around now because it's getting towards sunset, but I'm going to wait for that last kind of moment before I set up the tent. What I'm going to do now though is just see if I can get some sort of nice little shots of the area, some videos so you can see around the place a little bit. So I'll catch you a bit later on and run some video of the area now for you. Oh, it's getting bitterly cold now. Really is getting cold. The sun's on that last, touching the horizon. The bottom of the sun's touching the horizon now. And then I'm going to set up. There's still a couple of people about here. I've come here a couple of times before, and I came on weekdays, and it was like there was like no one here. But it's been a nice day today, really sunny. So there's a few people about. It's a Sunday, so that's what you get. But like once the sun's gone down, or just on that last bit, the last couple of people will go, and then we can set up. Just a case of waiting in the cold now. But that's it. I'm set up now, and just the last bit of light. I'm going to try and get inside and get warmed up a bit, get some food on, relax a little bit, and see how it goes. But I've got a wonderful little sunset. I might take a couple of photos in a moment, see if I can run them up for you as well. One of the things on a night like this when you get a sunset is it's cold. Everyone always thinks the rain's cold, but it's not, because you've got all thick clouds everywhere, and it actually keeps all the warmth in. It tends to be warmer. But when you get a clear sky like tonight, that's when you actually get the cold and you feel it, because all the heat just flies off into the atmosphere and you're left with cold weather. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. A little bit of a breeze, but pretty good overall. Pretty happy with the setup. Looks good. So I'm going to get inside in a minute and get set up. Well, this was the point where we actually got set up. We had to wait for it to get quite dark because, as I said before, there were just too many people around. This was us in our tent, and as you can see, the tent camouflaged and blended in really well with the background, which meant that we didn't get seen. I didn't bother much with lighting in the tent though, because we're not really supposed to be in this location, which meant that we kept the lighting just to head torches and minimal usage really, just when we needed to. We are a bit of a distance from the local village, but at the same time, if you have too many lights going on, it might attract attention. Not in the sense of that you shouldn't be there, but more in the case of like people might send up someone to try and rescue you, or see if you're okay if they see a light too long in the same location. Didn't want any situation like that to happen, so we kept lighting usage at a minimum. The temperature just plummeted once the sun went down more. Just got colder and colder, but it was kind of alright. Once we were in the tent and it was zipped up and we'd cooked something and got some food inside us, we were generating heat again, and it just felt so much better. It felt so much nicer, and we could relax and enjoy things a bit. We had our iPad with us and we watched a few episodes of a drama series that we're watching at the moment, and just took it easy really. Had quite a nice time. The wind picked up a little bit during the night, but it was okay. I didn't go out the tent, but I probably will do in future. Right, so that was a successful night done really. It was cold, pretty cold actually, sort of like midnight, 1 AM, but it was nice and starry night as well, so it's quite nice to look at for a bit. And we've got a little bit of a sunrise. Unfortunately I'm kind of on the wrong side to get it properly, but you can see a bit of it. I'm now wishing we'd camped over that side, because the sunrise is pretty awesome at the moment. It's just very, very red. But I just packed the tent up, put everything away. I think Katie had a reasonable time. She didn't sleep much, I know that. I think she slept less than 2 hours, whereas I slept better. The thing is, when you start doing this, there's this level of anxiety. Every little noise or scratch or something you think is, what's that, what's going on? But fact is, nature's quite noisy once you stop talking and you start listening. There's a lot of noise going on all the time really, and I think it's getting used to all of that and getting used to those sounds and hearing them on a regular basis. I mean, I was ready to sleep like 10:30 or 11. I was ready for lights out, but I think she wasn't nervous, but there's just always that anxiety. And the first few times I camped out was like that as well, where you just feel like, what's that noise? You're not paranoid as such, it's just I think it's a natural reaction, like that heightened state of awareness. But overall, yeah, good experience, I think. So I think we'll probably both go back to bed when we get home. Okay, anyway, hope you enjoyed that. If you liked it, please subscribe, drop me a like and a comment as well. That would be appreciated. Take care, bye bye.